What's the most creaky Matrix glitch or unexplained bullshit that's ever happened to you? I live in a very remote area, so I know for sure that we are the only residents here. Once I was taking out the trash at night, and as I approached the road, I distinctly heard a woman's voice, "Help me." Even knowing that it was extremely unlikely that there was even a single living person in the vicinity, I still felt that I needed to look around and check if someone really needed help and it wasn't my glitches. I did about 2 a step in the direction from which I thought I heard the voice, and then I heard a giggle. It was the same voice. I immediately turned around and quickly he walked away because fuck him. Anyone who really needs help won't giggle. As a child, my sister and I were walking home from the park and we heard a man shouting, "Help!" We found an open hatch, from which, as it seemed to us, a man was calling for help, but we did not see him. I was 9 years old, and I thought in a panic that we should get in there and help him. My sister, she was 11 years old, correctly realized that we should call our parents. When we returned with my parents, the man had disappeared. As an adult, I realized that it was probably just a stupid joke, but still, it was pretty creepy back then. One day, I was walking my dog, and we were almost to the roadway when suddenly, for some reason, I looked down, looked back, and in the end, it turned out that I was about 6 blocks from where I thought I was. I was very confused. I looked at the dog, but everything was fine with her. She looked normal. If anything, I don't drink or use drugs, and I'm still quite young. The year is 1985. My ex-wife and I sleep in bed. The street lamp casts a thin strip of light through our window, so that you can barely see the bed and the whole room. Our black Pomeranian sleeps on the edge of the bed. I dream that I woke up, reached out to stroke him, and he turned into a black slimy oyster monster, gaping with several rows of glittering glass teeth. I woke up to my ex rolling the mattress up against the wall. I asked, "What happened?" She replied, "What is that shiny black thing with the teeth on the edge of the bed? Where's the dog?" We had the same nightmare at the same time. I still get goosebumps from this stuff. I was digging into my motorcycle in the mud, right in the place where I fell off it, trying to drift steeply. As a result, I broke the clutch and gear shift lever. I brought a set of wrenches, and I used one of the keys to unscrew the bolt. I unscrewed it slightly and put the key on the ground to unscrew the bolt completely with my hands. 2 minutes later, I tried to pick up the key, but it disappeared. I searched absolutely everywhere, in all this mud, but it was all in vain. Fortunately, I had a spare key in the car. After fixing the bike, I went home to take a shower and wash off the dirt. I go into my room and see a wrench on the table. I'm just freaking out. The key is on 10. This kind of shit happens to him all the time. I was driving at about 80 kilometers per hour, and I saw a car pass by a stop sign at the exit and popped up right in front of me. I remember how I was already preparing for a collision, and then one day, I was already 500 meters down the highway, and I saw the same car in the rearview mirror. As someone who has watched all the parts of Destination, I can say with certainty that you will die. I remember driving a car, stopping at an intersection in a rural area, and looking around, trying to see if anyone was around. I see my mom out of the corner of my eye. She says something like, "Everything is clear on this side." I turn back, but she's not there. At that time, several years had passed since my mother's death. It was during the day, and nothing like this has happened since. I've already told this story, and I can describe it in detail, but here's a short version. I'm 100% sure I remember a dog that didn't seem to exist. When I was 16 years old, we lived on the other side of the province, and my uncle had a little Jack Russell Terrier named Crew. Crew went missing for several months, and then he was found by some people an hour away from us, and we were all shocked that this little dog had run so far. Anyway, that was almost 20 years ago. I recently mentioned this dog to my parents. Whenever I hear about Jack Russell, I think about Crew and that prank of his, and they didn't understand what I was talking about. They had no idea what kind of dog I was talking about. They insisted that my uncle had never had such a dog, that I must have dreamed it, and so on. To be honest, everyone who would remember this dog has long since died, and I don't even have any photos of my uncle. I have no way to prove the existence of this dog, but I am sure that it existed. Maybe they just forgot. My parents are like that too. Not so long ago, I told them about a letter I wrote to my father when he was away a few years ago. They both insisted that I had dreamed it, but in the end, I found it. Sometimes people may not remember something. It doesn't mean that Crew didn't actually exist. One day at 6 p.m., as usual at this time, I left work and started my journey home by train, which took an hour. After I got in, I immediately passed out and woke up right in front of my station. The bus takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get from the station to the house. Minutes. I didn't pick up my phone during the entire trip, and I didn't have a watch in my hands, so I didn't see the time anywhere. When I got home, the family was very surprised. "You're so early, is everything okay?" I looked at the wall clock, and there was just a hand approaching 6. I was shocked. I didn't understand how it happened. Checked it out, other watches, mobile phones, etc. The time was absolutely accurate. A few days later, the HR department emailed us a monthly work schedule, time of arrival and departure from work, and it stated that I left at about 6 p.m. every day. In general, it was definitely not me, but someone else who left work so early. To this day, I still can't figure out where those extra 60 to 90 minutes came from that day. Changed. The most common theory in the comments is daylight saving time, and I've already considered this option. The only problem is that this transfer must work for you to come to work. And as far as I remember, I came to work as usual. I didn't leave the house too early. And if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't Monday, when the opening hours don't change, despite the Sunday clock change. Meanwhile, another person is trying to figure out where he lost his 60 to 90 minutes. It's been a year since my wife died. A few strange things happened to me. For example, there were a couple of old, meaningful photos that were lying in the pantry, I could swear. But the strangest thing was that I was vacuuming the carpet, and as soon as I finished, I saw her diamond ring on the floor, right where I had just cleaned. It was like she was letting me know, "Hey, this is an important thing. Don't lose it." It's really touching. I'm sorry that your wife died. I hope all these things that you find bring you back to pleasant memories. My friend Sarah was at a nightclub, totally drunk. At some point, she had an irresistible urge to tell a complete stranger that her leg hurt. It didn't really hurt. It was a very strange feeling, and she tried to ignore it, but the urge wouldn't subside, so she went up to a guy and said, "I know it's weird, but I have a strong urge to tell you that my leg hurts. Yes, I know it's wild. I'm sorry." And then this guy starts crying. It turned out that his father had died completely. Recently, and before his death, he and his son agreed that if there was an afterlife, he would receive a message. They would tell him a random phrase so that he would know for sure. That phrase was, "My leg hurts." I was about 12 years old, and I woke up in the middle of the night to take a leak. I went through the hallway to a small bathroom, turned on the light, and was about to go to the toilet when I suddenly looked up and saw a face in the mirror. It wasn't my face. It was as if someone was on the other side, standing on the right, and looking at me through a mirror. I only saw the face for a short moment, but I remembered it for a long time. I screamed and ran out of the bathroom to find my father. Of course, my father went to check what was there, and then calmed me down. Well, at least he tried. In the end, we prayed together because that I was very scared, and somehow I fell asleep again. We're moving back in time to when I'm already 30. I'd already forgotten about that incident. One night, when I was visiting my father, he delicately brought up the subject again. "Do you remember once you saw a face in the mirror?" It suddenly came back to me in a rush of memories, and goosebumps ran down my spine. "Yes, I remember." "Well," he said, "sometimes I remember that night." He looked thoughtfully at the floor. I saw him too. He described exactly what I saw. We have no idea what it was. As it turned out, when he went to check what was there, he saw the same thing as me, and he was wildly scared. The prayer we recited was just as important to him as it was to me. I'm grateful to him for keeping it a secret until I was 30, but I wish he'd never told me about it. I had one very important document that I kept in only one place, in the top drawer of a small filing cabinet. I never took it out of there, and whenever I opened that drawer for some reason, I saw it lying in it. The day came when I needed him, and I didn't even think about worrying because I knew exactly where he was. I'll be damned he wasn't there. I had a panic attack. I turned over the whole closet. I took everything out and laid it on the floor, turned over all the papers, rummaged through all the envelopes, shook everything, shone a flashlight the entire empty locker in case it got stuck in the sidewalls somehow. He wasn't there, I assure you. No one took it or tried to make fun of me in this way. I was completely shattered. I even looked at other places in the house, but I was sure he wouldn't be in any of those places, and he wasn't there. In between searches, I returned to the stupid closet. Nothing. On hard nerves, I searched the rest of the house again and went downstairs. Down the stairs where my filing cabinet was, I screamed in utter frustration, "Good! Just bring him back!" I do not know who I turned to, because I was alone at home, but as you can guess, I found it in the top drawer of the closet, where it should have been originally. I felt relieved, of course. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe to the channel and like it.